Hello students, welcome you all. So before I start the discussion of the question today, there's a small correction where I've given in the question saying that explain the significance of tanks as a traditional source of irrigation in Telangana. But it is not actually of irrigation, of just irrigation. I'm just talking about the overall significance of tanks in Telangana. So that is how we are supposed to answer the question, and that's a typographical error. So beg your pardon for that. But let's get into this question now. So the you are supposed to explain the significance of tanks as a traditional source in the regions of Telangana. So now, how do you introduce this? So we all know that tanks are the one which are artificially built. I mean, there are few tanks which are naturally obtained, and there are artificial ponds as well. And these tanks, which are considered to be as both artificial as well as natural one, are an integral part of your Telangana region or the peninsular part of India itself for many years, from decades or centuries old, and that these traditional sources acted as a traditional source for your livelihood and for the agricultural activities and for many other activities. And you can talk about saying that in the introduction, a multifaceted role in the water management system of Telangana. So that's how we can start your introduction. And moving further, so in your intro part, you can talk about the historical act of your tanks as to why tanks are necessary and what tanks are a integral part of your peninsular India, isn't it? So the historical part we can just include it and say that this is your source for both your livelihoods, livelihood of a region, or livelihood protection for the people residing across this region, and which have got a multifaceted role. It's not just one role as irrigation, but it has got a multifaceted role. And most of the tanks are the one which have been fed by good amount of rainfall runoff. So the rainwater runoff are considered to be the major feeders for these tanks, and this rainfall runoff which have been stored in the tanks are helpful for your irrigation, for your agricultural activities, which has sustained your agricultural activities and also supported many amount of livelihoods and also enhanced your socio-cultural fabric of this region, isn't it? So you can include saying that rainfall runoff is a source and tanks acts as a major irrigation for your agricultural activities and enhance your socio-cultural fabric of the region. So that will be your intro part. And then moving further into your body, and in the other form you can also talk about saying that in your introduction, as I talked about historical perspective, you can say that Telangana being in a plateau region which have got good amount of undulated topography, which has naturally been a region for presence of what do you call it, that depressions where water can be stored, and those depressions which have been naturally formed helped for the communities to reside within close to that nearby regions and helped in agricultural activities and other community activities within that region. So in order to build a very good social fabric within that tank regions. So that's how you can also introduce this topic. Even in that manner you can introduce this topic. And now in this body, specifically we are supposed to focus on the significance of tanks, because recently it's been most discussed topic across your social media and across your government activities, as we all know. So that's the reason we should have a much better idea as to what is the significance of tanks. So now, first and the foremost thing, water storage, isn't it? So that is a major activity, and because with the help of water storage, what is happening? I mean, you can have irrigation activity. Water storage and irrigation is the primary activity of your tanks, which help the farmers to cultivate good amount of crops throughout the year and ensuring the food security of that region, isn't it? And apart from that, this is one. The second one is groundwater. Beg your pardon, I'm not good with my health, so slightly disturbing my nose. Groundwater recharge. So that's another point where the water table, the moment you have a proper tanks across the region and better storage of waters, yes, the groundwaters have been recharged. So it is helping both your agricultural activities as well as other domestic activities. So groundwater recharge is one other one. And then other part moving further, because of the presence of tanks, yes, there is good amount of microclimatic regulation. The microclimatical region of that microclimatical conditions of that specific region have been properly been enhanced or creating a much more favorable microclimatical condition. So you can talk about favorable microclimatic conditions within that region, wherein you may not have extremes because you are close to a water body. So that is another form. So this is what you are supposed to put down your points related to significance. And then you can talk about, yeah, biodiversity hotspot. So this presence of tanks and all helps in enhancing your biodiversity of that region. So you may have your birds across that region, you may have good amount of plantation across that region. So what is happening? There is good amount of plants, animals, different kinds of birds which are, I mean, taking a shelter across the region, and you have a good amount of wildlife, and you can have a biodiversity and leading to better ecological ecological balance. Ecological balance. So can be obtained across the region. Moving further, apart from this few points which have been considered to be as significance, there are something called socio-economic benefits. See, the moment you have a tank with good amount of water, that is a region for recreation. That's a region for interaction, social interaction, fishing activity. So you can have a community hubs across the region. So in this manner, it's a kind of, I mean, forget about the community hubs, but it's a place for recreation. It's a place for your social interaction, and it's a place for fishing activities. So there are a good amount of socio-economic benefits. So you can talk about saying that socio-economic benefits have been obtained, or this is also a significant point within that region. So significant. This is the significance of tanks. And moving further, this is also a significant one for flood mitigation. So that's what we are talking about in the recent past. What is the reason why Hyderabad have been flooding? Because of a minimal amount of rain. It is because of your large amount of encroachments within the lake regions or tank regions, where water is not getting stored within the tanks, or water is not getting run is not seeping into the tanks, but is moving across your habitations, inundating greater amount of habitations. So this act as a flood mitigation, isn't it? So whenever you have a heavy amount of rainfall, it is acting as a buffer. So floods have been mitigated, absorbing excess amount of waters. And apart from that, finally, you can talk about saying that drought. It is also mitigating good amount of drought. Drought mitigation is also been there because of your presence of tanks. It is acting as a mitigation for your droughts. So these are the points which we can put forth for your significance of tanks. And in your conclusion, and even before you're concluding it, you may also talk about the challenges which are there within the regions of Telangana. So, what are the major challenges within the regions of Telangana, or on a whole as a tanks? So, majorly it is about, sorry, siltation is one, encroachment is another form, isn't it? Pollution is another uh, challenge. So, these are your challenges, and you're supposed to conclude it. And in this conclusion, So Telangana being a peninsula plateau which have got numerous amount of tanks or numerous amount of artificial ponds which are present, which are acting as a lifeline for the entire Telangana's agricultural activities and other socio-economic and cultural activities, isn't it? And you can also say that it is acting as a tanks are acting as a cultural and ecological heritage sites because you have a greater amount of ecological diversity. There is a good amount of cultural practices where you have religious activities which have been performed within the tanks. So even in your body, you can talk about seeing that socio-economic benefits. So within your socio-economic social activities, you can talk about presence of good amount of religious festivals and rituals which have been performed across the tanks. I mean, you talk about your Batkama and all, isn't it? Now, in your conclusion, you can say that yes, recognizing the tanks and restoration of this tank is the need of the hour, and specifically the government initiatives like the earlier government initiatives like Mission Kakatiya or the present government initiatives like Hydra is the need of the hour for the restoration and rejuvenation of your tanks and reduce the acts of encroachments, pollution, and the siltation activities, so as to have and provide a security to the communities across that region, close to that regions of tanks, and also promote sustainable water resources for agricultural activities and other domestic activities, and also preserve good amount of ecological balance within the regions of Telangana. So that's how you conclude it. So in your conclusion, you may talk about what are the keywords we can talk about. So it is considered to be as the lifeline, and you can talk about the government initiatives like Kakatiya, Mission Kakatiya, or you can talk about Hydra, and you say that this sustainability is most required thing, so as to have and promote good amount of agricultural activities and also enhance your social and ecological balance. I'm sorry for that. Yeah, the social and economic ecological balance have also been balanced properly, and you have a prosperous and healthy Telangana. So that's how we conclude it. So done. So that's how we are supposed to approach for this kind of questions, and if possible, you may also include SDG. Okay, so because water as a resource, you have SDGs related to water, you have SDGs related to life on land, isn't it? So make sure you may include your SDGs as well within your mm, answer. So that's all for now. Thank you. See you in the next topic. I mean, tomorrow I'll be posting a question, but I may not give you a explanation through I mean, to this medium, and we'll have an explanation on Monday. Okay. So that's all for now. Thank you very much. Bye bye.